Okay, so the question I want to ask today is how do organisms evolve into different species? And so we're going to look at the polar bear and the panda bear and consider that a long time ago, these two species are one. They share a common ancestor. So the process of speciation has occurred where once we only had one species, now we have two. And by saying that we had one species, what we're suggesting is that the common ancestor of the polar bear and the panda bear shared the same genome. Okay, so no longer does the polar bear and the panda bear share the same genome, and why? All right, let's consider the idea of mutations and how they accumulate in the genomes of different species. All right, so now we have a polar bear. The polar bear is up in the Arctic. I know the map is far away, I apologize, but it's a nice map. The polar bear is up in the Arctic, and that environment is going to place selective pressure on the individual bear, and the individual bear is defined by its collection of genes. And so if there's a mutation to the gene in a polar bear that allows, or that manufactures an enzyme that allows for the digestion of this seal's meat, okay? A mutation to that gene will likely be deadly to the polar bear, okay? And as a consequence, that gene that produces the enzyme that allows for the digestion of this meat is likely to be preserved in the form that you found it in the genome of the common ancestor of these two species, okay? Now, the same kind of mutation, or the same mutation in a panda bear's genome would not necessarily be harmful to its survival, because I'm looking around at the natural environment. I know that's not necessarily representative of the entirety of the ecosystem. However, the effect of the same mutation to the gene in a panda that allowed for the digestion of meat might not be harmful, it might be neutral. And so mutations can accumulate to that gene in the panda bear, while it cannot accumulate in the polar bear. So let's look at a similar case. There's another gene here, the gene that allows for, or that manufactures an enzyme that allows for the digestion of bamboo or of plants. Mutations to that gene in a panda bear will likely be harmful, okay? However, this mutation to the same gene in the polar bear, again, we're assuming because of the fact that they share common ancestry, that the polar bear and the panda bear once shared a gene in common that perhaps allowed for the effective digestion of plants. And now that the polar bear finds itself in an environment where eating plants isn't necessary to its survival, mutations to that gene are neutral, do not affect the survival of the individual polar bear, and can accumulate to that gene in this species. The result is that these populations of different bears are effectively isolated because of the effect of the different environments, right, that causes different changes or allows for changes to the genome of a polar bear that wouldn't be allowed to the genome of a panda bear, and vice versa. I hope that makes sense. I know it's somewhat complicated, but it's worth thinking about. Thank you.